we have another hot topic. I think you could already sense the stablecoin central bank digital currency topic was always a topic the last few hours in all the sessions, even yesterday. So I think we're coming now to one of the highlights, etc., about what can we expect, looking at the stablecoin, what's going on there from a peer-to-peer private company perspective versus state-owned, government-owned, central bank-owned. I think it's a huge debate, and everything happened already. Accelerated discussion, I would say, based on the Libra discussion. So before we go really on the detail level, love to hear maybe a brief introduction of yourself. Nicola, if you want to start and...
Sure, yeah. Can everyone hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes.
Very Hi, my name is Nicola Chubarov. It's my first time at Paris Fintech Forum, so thank you all for having me. And I hope it will become a tradition, because I'm really enjoying the networking, I'm really enjoying the content of the presentations. I'm co-founder and CEO of a company called Moneyfold. We're based in the UK, and we completed the FCA regulatory sandbox program in 2017 and 2018. As part of that, we obtained a license from the FCA. You can go on the UK financial registry and see we're a financial firm. And the product we developed is fiat-backed stablecoins. So euros, pounds, other national currencies implemented as stablecoins on public blockchains. We're live on Ethereum, but we can equally go deploy on any other blockchain. And the key characteristic is that our stablecoins are legally e-money. So effectively, we have provided the cash leg or the payment leg. We've brought it onto the blockchain, and opens up the possibility for fantastic new products to be built. So
very good. IDO.
Hi, thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is IDO Sadova. I am the founder of Saga, that we're very excited to have launched just a month ago. And Saga is developing a non-governmental currency that aims to be an alternative, a complement really, to national currencies, in the sense that it is not affected by any single nation state monetary or fiscal policy, but at the same time adopts a lot of the utilities that central banks are deploying for years in terms of stabilization and taming volatility of the currencies that we know, as well as solving the AML issue. Saga, as I believe Moneyfold is as well, is fully compliant with AML directives by the FATF and the recent fifth directive of the EU and its UK translation.
Okay, Alexei?
Yes, my name is Alexei. I'm a founder of Everex, and Everex is the blockchain development company focusing on improving money transfers, card payments, currency exchange by facilitating stablecoin as a settlement. So our primary use cases, like I said, it's financial inclusion for the migrant workers and also facilitating the merchant payments. And Everex was, we were, I would like to say, one of the pioneers, because we were first in the world to issue non-US dollar-backed stablecoin, which was a Thai baht, because we're based in Bangkok, Thailand. And this stablecoin was used for cross-border transfer between Thailand and the Myanmar. At that time, there was our first, probably in the world, pilot that where stablecoins were used not for cryptocurrency trading. And pretty much that's it. So we're focusing on using the stablecoins for, I would say, non-cryptocurrency use cases, non-cryptocurrency trading use cases, but rather for real world, to fix the real world problems. Thank you.
Love to start with the Saga project, because that got a lot of press about, and maybe you share a little bit more details about that, because what's the concept, what's the big difference compared to a central bank digital currency, maybe also comparison to the faithful Libra approach. And then I will talk about a little bit also the challenges, because I can imagine that was not an easy task.
There's loads of those. So the idea behind Saga is that national currencies are supposed to provide security while operating within national economies. And in the countries such as EU countries, they're doing their job pretty well. But at the same time, in the last few decades, we're witnessing a new scope of an economy, which is a global scope of an economy. So if you're a UK citizen who is Brexiting tomorrow morning, well, the pound is reacting to this Brexit, and while you're interacting within the UK economy, you're actually fine because it will react to the same Brexit. But when you go and buy on Amazon, the prices on Amazon have very small consideration for Her Majesty's decisions. And there you'll find that you've lost 25% of your purchasing power. And this is not a UK scenario, right? If you're a citizen of Turkey or Argentina or Brazil, you're probably in an even bigger problem. And so we've established Saga based on a basket of currencies, on the SDR, not a basket, unlike Libra, we did not decide to determine our basket, but to take the IMF basket, which central banks are holding to hedge their own reserves. But at the same time, we understand that if we want to bridge to the traditional industry, we need to take consideration of their concerns, namely the AML and KYC concerns, and therefore Saga is not an anonymous currency. It is a challenge. We're in existence for 2.5 years. We've launched just a month ago, and I think that regulation was a big part of, a big chunk of this effort.
And did you experience similar pushbacks like we saw with Libra? So you saw what happened in Switzerland with Libra, no?
So some of the pushbacks are shared. Obviously, the mere notion that a currency, a governor of a central bank told me a year ago in a meeting, if we would have met 10 years ago, you would have been behind bars, right? And it was a friendly meeting, but he's right. I mean, the notion that non-government can issue money is a 10-year-old notion, and Bitcoin is responsible for it.
And you operate out of which country?
So we are operating in the UK. We started off in Switzerland, but following Libra and the rest of it, FINMA took, let's say, slowed down the rate of approvals to any project. So we actually couldn't get a response, and we've migrated to the UK.
And you got approval over there, e-money license, or?
So we don't need an e-money license because we do not accept fiat. But under the FCA framework, we are able to operate in existing regulation without an explicit ruling, which is, I think, another interesting part of this ecosystem, where it is not only regulators that are shopping for projects, but projects that are shopping for regulations.
Yeah. And how's the business so far?
It is evolving. It is evolving rather slowly as the entire industry, and we're happy for it. We think that it needs to evolve slowly. If you take a note of the European declaration of the Chambre de Commerce of not having stable global currencies, this announcement of December 5th said that stable currencies should not be issued by those who have already global infrastructure, because it's risky and it needs to be experimented slowly. We've built the Saga model for it to develop slowly by design.
Nicola, maybe you share your experiences in setting up a stablecoin.
Yeah, I mean, we went to the regulator in 2017 during the FCA, the UK, the Financial Conduct Authority, and this was during the ICO bubble, and we had a fantastic experience. I mean, I loved it and they loved it, because here's this company trying to do something in blockchain space and use the technology, and we're not trying to hide in sort of high-risk jurisdictions, or, we went to them and we told them this is what we want to do. Given the existing regulatory framework, we think the best thing is to classify it as electronic money, if you agree. Here's how we're going to meet the safeguarding requirements. Here's how we meet the AML expectations. Here's who we can do business with. Here's our policies. So we went through the regular authorization process, but doing it through the sandbox, we actually had to pass extra hurdles, and there were additional restrictions imposed on us. And some companies even told us, why are you bothering with this? It's easier just to acquire a license, acquire a shell company, or set up in another jurisdiction. And we did consider Singapore, we did consider Switzerland, but at the end we decided if we can do this in an EU jurisdiction, it's a shame it's not going to be an EU jurisdiction in a couple of days, but it's a good starting point. Then we can replicate it anywhere else. And I mean, the whole engagement was fantastic. I'd recommend it, if you're working on a startup company, or even for established businesses, going through the FCA sandbox. The engagement you get is fantastic. And other regulators have used it as a template on how to set up their own sandboxes. And now there's maybe 24 of these things all around the world. And startups are, like you said, shopping around, sort of deciding which sandbox is best for my use case.
No, that's great to hear that the sandbox is helping you to establish your business. And how is business doing?
So there's a short and a long answer. Yeah, the short answer is slow. The long answer is we actually have paying clients. We spent the last 2 years talking to over 100 companies with different use cases. We narrowed it down to 20 that made sense. And from those 20, only 3 have been actually ready to move forward. And the rest are sort of on idea, stage.
And these clients, what kind of use cases they try to go after?
So the whole gamut. The number one use case is obviously anonymity, and we say no, thank you, no merci, go somewhere else. But in terms of the legitimate use cases, there's a lot of interest in conditional payments. So using atomic swaps for the not atomic swaps, smart contracts for the smart contract to release the payment under certain conditions. So, for example, we use this arrangement to create a vault contract, which holds your money, and the way you unlock the money is by using your digital ID. For specifically the Estonian e-residency, but it can be replicated with Swiss ID, possibly French ID. Not every ID is, suitable. And we showed this with real people, with real money, that you can take an existing ID and transform it into a payment instrument.
So you're very clear on it has to be legitimate use cases, now following the rules that you've been applied to.
I mean, I want to build a sustainable business. I want to be the next PayPal or Revolut or whatever, the next Visa maybe, with some luck. You only get this opportunity once, right?
So you need the killer app, the killer use case for your stablecoin at the end.
Possibly. I mean, I do see a scenario where you have multiple providers, so it doesn't have to be one company take all. I think it could, and it doesn't have to be a duopoly. It could be, it could be more. You can have more players, and you can have people specializing based on region, based on currency, based on use case. To give an example, we've been speaking to the Bank of England for quite some time. They're deploying a new real-time gross settlement system. It's a 5-year-old project. And as part of that, they want to introduce a new type of entity called a synchronization operator. And they see that there's maybe space for 2 or 3 such entities within the UK. And I mean, I'd love to be one of those synchronization operators, because basically it's atomic swaps. I've showed them on a public blockchain. It's trivial. So the difficult part is the bureaucracy, ticking all the boxes, convincing the policy setters to let us in.
Good. Alexei, what's your experiences in establishing a stablecoin in Thailand, not this
right. Well,
in Asia at the end? No?
Yeah, you're right. This is mostly Asia, because when we started, based on my background, when I was doing the working in the merchant processing payment, though, I saw that the problem was the long settlement time. At the same time, the money transfer, we all know, the SWIFT takes a few days at least. If sometimes the money gets stuck in the what I call the correspondent banking limbo, just not there. So it's gone there, but it didn't arrive. And businesses kind of struggle because they need to get paid fast. There was a study saying that actually the speed of payments directly improves the GDP of any country. So when the blockchain came out back in, I started in this business 2014, I immediately just clicked, well, that's a technology that can facilitate the speed of the settlement. And immediately I thought, well, the stable coin is not a Bitcoin, not any, it's a stable coin, which is fiat, just put it on the blockchain and you use it for settlement. And obviously the use cases, like at least major 2, is cross-border transfers and merchant payments. And our specific is like financial inclusion, where we're talking about 300 million migrant workers displaced all over the world. And the global remittance, according to the World Bank, is like $650 billion per year. But the thing is that what they don't count is what we call the hundi or havala, which is informal money transfer, which I would say at least a third of this. So we're talking about $1 trillion billion of dollars moving, changing, switching the borders. And these informal channels, basically the governments they just say, look, we know, especially the governments in the Middle East area where the remittances are originated, they say, we want just to know how much money is moving out, because it's a large portion of our economy. And the blockchain is the perfect thing to actually to help. It's cheap to implement, to deploy. However, the challenge here, obviously, because the regulators, yes, they want an AML, they want a KYC, which we kind of say, look, it's a micropayment. Okay, no one's going to launder millions of dollars with $200 transactions. So set up a limit, put some kind of framework, and just don't bother if it's $200. But obviously, we're monitoring everything. So if there is a payment, like the same guy sends, $1,000 every day, obviously that's a red flag. It's a reason to investigate. But it's actually very rarely happening. So that's what we try to facilitate. So basically, the short answer would be we're not looking where to use the stablecoins. We look for the problem which can be solved using the stablecoins, such as these two cases.
So also in your case, it's really looking for the killer use case at the end, no? The question that I have before I come to the central bank digital currency topic. So you said, business is slowing, going up. So, our title of our discussion is stablecoins going mainstream. What's the time? Is it another 2-3 years, or what are the drivers at the end? What do you think? What are the turning points then?
So I'll probably start with a meta comment. I hate the term stablecoins because I think it became such a inclusive term of so many different things. When it comes to CDBCs, these are tokenized dollars or tokenized euros, and even when it comes to commercial parties that are tokenizing existing currencies, those are tokenized currencies.
What would be then the best way to?
I think that the stablecoin is either a currency board. When it is a base of reserve, it's what Singapore is doing for years. It's nothing new. Or it is a new form of the same old money. So in terms of tokenized assets or tokenized currencies, I think they're solving a technical problem. They're not solving a deep monetary problem. And I think that they are already going mainstream in the sense that in DeFi, you had a panel just, they're constantly used as the currency of choice. Simply because you cannot tokenize a piece of $1, but you can use either Alexei or Nicola's dollars or euros to use in an insurance contract that is decentralized. I think that currencies such as Saga or other attempts like DAI or Libra, etc., will take longer because it is about shifting the center of trust. A few years ago, if I would come to Paris, and I wanted to know how I get from here to the Tuileries, I would ask someone. And now I'm trusting an application. I think that acquiring this trust in a new technology, now we are trusting monetary committees of central banks, etc., and we now need to learn to trust a new form of monetary policy, and this will take time.
And is it 5 years for Saga, or is it 10 years, or what's your...
If Saga is used in some places as actual money in 5 years, I would be jumping through the roof. And if it would take 20 years, I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's a long run. I think it's a true paradigm shift, and it will take time. And I think it should take time, because it's still an experiment and innovation. We all like innovation, but innovation always comes with risk. And I think that we need to take notice of it and mitigate those risks. So slow is not bad.
So another 20 years for you, Nicola?
Well, hopefully not, but something to consider is, in terms of cryptocurrencies, only 2 to 3% of the population in Europe has cryptocurrencies. So the people who ordinary people would have some form of stablecoin, whether it's DAI or e-money or Saga, is probably even smaller. And the reality is, once they obtain it, okay, it's cool, what do I do with it? So I think we will reach mainstream adoption when I know you don't like the term stablecoin, but I haven't got a better term at the moment. So when they're hidden away, when you just press a button, and the fact that at the back end it's moving stablecoins via an atomic swap or meeting some conditions, checking your GPS location, that will all be hidden away from the customer. The customer will press a button, something will happen. A bit like APIs, you have an input and you have an output, and what happens in the middle. And I want to give you an example. It's a specific project we're working on for a client, and hopefully we launch soon, next few months. But if you have cryptocurrency and you want to convert it into fiat and load that money onto a card so you can spend, so effectively an off-ramp, like I receive my salary in Bitcoin, so I need a way to do that. If you force everything to go through our stablecoin, effectively you have a very clean trail to monitor the transactions, where the money came from, where it went, and also the cryptocurrency exchange, the conversion agent or the wallet, they're never in a situation of having custody of client assets. And this solves some of the challenges around the fifth AML directive and custody, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not, 2 years ago, we were not thinking about this. 2 years, we were thinking, well, let's build it, see how it works, see how much it costs. And it's very competitive cost-wise, surprisingly. And then we discovered a few months ago this specific use case, and then the fifth AML directive came into force in the UK a couple of weeks back. So now it's a business opportunity.
Well, I have to respectfully disagree with Ida here. I believe the more we use the word innovation, the more time it will take to actually for user adoption. In all my pitches, I say, look, it's just e-money, okay? Just instead of circulating in the banking platform, it's on the blockchain, okay? It's the same money. You can still, it's like your bank. So instead of your banking app, it's a blockchain wallet, okay? Same thing. Just use it where you need it. And this is because user adoption already been difficult. We've seen this in the blockchain space, users losing private keys, and the whole notion of crypto banks is, for me, it's weird, because that's what the Bitcoin was invented, to give people ownership of their own money. Instead, they say, Mr. Banker, I'm so stupid to keep my private key, keep my Bitcoin for me. And that's what's happening now. And that's all this custody thing is going on. So in our job, we try to simplify, to make it as more user-friendly, more adaptive, as at the same time secure, but trying to make the payments easier. So, like Nicola said, just they don't need to know that it's a stable coin. Just sending the payment.
So, last question before we go to the interview with the deputy governor. The question is, now, I see you both are very successful, looks like, in the UK. Is UK a good, at the end, your recommendation, if you want to start a similar project, is first of all, jurisdiction matters. Second, is UK a good place to start?
I'm in the UK by accident. So I ran away from America about 12 years ago. And I mean, I didn't run away, but I decided, okay, this is time to go. I'm originally from Bulgaria, so I'm a foreigner wherever I go. My wife is British, my wife's English, that's why I'm in the UK. If she was Spanish, I would be doing this in Spain. If she was Swiss, in Switzerland.
But I think you've been through an experience of it.
Yeah, so we've chosen the UK after having chosen Switzerland. And I think that what guided us is clarity. The regulation in the UK is rather clear, as was the regulation in Switzerland at least.
Did you consider France?
So I had a call with the AMF, but it very quickly became a call about whether we are a security or a utility or a payment, which is a very long discussion of taxonomy, and without a clear cut. And in the UK, the cut is rather clear, and so this is why we chose the UK.
Would you do it again in Asia?
Asia has been a great playground for us, because Asia, like Europe or US, is heavily cash-based. And that's where the idea for actually originated, because this is where the blockchain can help, because in general, we're talking about 80% of people either underbanked or unbanked. In countries like Vietnam, we have 20% of banked people. Thailand, where we based, are probably the best one. We see about over 70% people who have a bank account, actually more than one. But other countries are really cash-based. So that's where we saw the application, although it's still not without challenges. But for our second use case, which is a merchant payment, we obviously need to do it in the US and or Europe. Because, again, in Asia, cards don't exist.
I'd like to add just one thing. I think that that's the case for Moneyfold as well. We are not operating in the US. So we are operating globally everywhere, not in the US. And this is due to legal inclarity for the moment.
Okay, that's good to know. No, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and projects. Hopefully we'll see each other again next year, because I think this topic will continue. I think this is very clear, and appreciate all the information, and ask the audience to give them a big round of applause. This was really fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me on the stage.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.